Hello. So, this is really random, but I'm just like taking my laptop from the kitchen into the lounge, my very well lived in lounge. I think it's nice to show that people aren't utterly perfect. And that really is kind of the whole underlying tone for anything that I do or believe in. But I wanted to share this today because I was just having a chat with my friend, and I just felt like it was I think it's a really interesting thing to share. So I've been doing this Step Into Your Soul Work course, and one of the major breakthroughs that I've actually had from doing this is around money, is around your money mindset. And so I'm going to type up my love letter to money and put it in my blog alongside this video as well. Just to hopefully kind of inspire people. And a friend of mine did actually ask me the other day, like, oh, I'm such a big spender, like, how did you break through with money? And the short answer to this is, it has taken me the last 5 years of working on myself and learning different things about money before even starting this 8-week course and making the breakthrough. So I don't know if there is like a straightforward, this is what you need to do to be able to break through with that. Because if I'm honest with you, I kind of felt like I already had this information, like I already knew this information and I wasn't applying it. So I think it really depends on how deep your emotional connection is to money. I guess the first thing to kind of point out, that most of us probably already know, is that when we're in school, we are not taught things like how to invest money, or we're not taught about profits. We're taught to basically learn a skill, go to work, and exchange your time and energy for money. Just even saying that out loud, it's like crazy. So that's what we're taught. And so you'll see like quotes and stuff like that where people say, we're not taught to look for opportunities. We're not, right? We're not. And you see those kind of entrepreneurs that most of them, they don't have a school education, or they were already thinking up business ideas when they were younger. I was actually thinking about this yesterday and how I did that when I was little. I remember once like starting like a bookmark business. I mean, it never went anywhere. I never did anything with it, but I started designing these bookmarks, and I had this idea of things that I wanted to do and what I wanted to create. But those sorts of qualities in people are people that are already thinking outside of that system that we are placed into. I absolutely loved school when I was in primary and junior school. And the reason why I loved school so much is because I was good at learning. I absolutely love learning, and I was praised for it. And because I was praised for it, I wanted to do more of it. So I absolutely loved learning. I loved that the teachers loved me. I loved that I was so coachable and that I was, so hungry to learn. But when I got to senior school, I did really start thinking to myself, like, there's got to be more to this. Like, I wanted to work, I wanted to earn money. And the reason why I had this desire that I wanted to earn money is because, well, at the time, I thought it was because I just wanted to provide for my family. I didn't want to be a failure. I didn't want them to, always see me as a burden, basically. And I'll go into more detail with things that I've kind of unpicked recently. But that was kind of the main thing around it. My family had high expectations of me. I felt like I was always letting them down. And so I just wanted to go to work. I just wanted to make money. I just wanted to prove that I was worth something. And so, yeah, definitely when I was in senior school, and the dynamics were very different, and I was very much in survival mode. It weren't cool to learn. It weren't cool to be smart in school. You know, I really that was my focus. I just wanted to make money, and I got a job within the first 2 weeks of actually leaving school. I was actually looking for work when I was 14. I did actually have a job when I was 14, working in a garden centre, but I just wanted to work. That was like the ethic that I had. And it was a very middle class, like working class mentality as well. Is middle class and working class the same thing? I think it is, because I came from a family of grafters as well. So yeah, it was very much kind of like conditioned, programmed into me, but I also had this desire to want more and to do more with my life. But I still never understood the concept of making profits. I just knew that you were meant to go and exchange your time and your energy for money. That's all any of us really know, or many of us know. So my mum and my aunt, they were always very good at like saving money. They used to have a lot of endowments and things like that, but they also had this habit, maybe not so much my aunt, but definitely my mum. Well, they're twins, that's why I say both of them. But what my mum would do is she would have endowments, and then when that endowment would come out, she would give that money all away. So she'd give a chunk to me, and then she'd go and do something like pay for some double glazing on the house, and it would just go. And so I've always adopted this same mentality of, so part of my conditioning was I'd adopted the same mentality of whatever I have, I give away. But actually mine run deeper than that. But again, like I'll come back to that. So whatever I have, I'll give away, because that's what I saw my mum doing. And then of course, whatever I had, I spent. If my mum gave me £1,000, I would spend £1,000. When I was working, whatever money I made, I would spend. I might save some money and then I would spend it on something like a car. I think that's the one thing I did do. But other than that, the more money I had, the more money I spent. And I think that is probably something that a lot of people can relate to. The more money you have, the more money you spend. Now, after working 13 years in the insurance industry, coming out and having my little girl and knowing that I didn't want to go back to London anymore, I was very open to any opportunity. I remember saying to Dave, I'll work in McDonald's if it means I don't have to go back to work. And by the way, I'm not saying that that is like a bad job or anything like that, but I definitely had an ego at the time that I was starting to shed. And my ego said, you have worked a really kind of like, I guess, respected job for a long time. And I saw something like that at that time as a less respected job. I very much believed that, you know, my friends at the time, or people that knew me, would probably think, she's doing that. I used to care what people thought about me, right? So it was very ego, and this isn't for me to upset or offend anyone. Like, I don't mean it in that way at all. My dog's about to start barking. 1 second. Come here. Come on. Yeah, I don't mean it in that way at all. This is Rodney. Hello, Rodney Trotter. Yeah, he's so gorgeous. He's just made me forget what I was saying. Yeah, so please, you know that I definitely do not look down on anybody. But at the time, did I look down on people? Yes, if I have to be honest with myself, I definitely did. But it was the beginning of me starting to shed my ego. That was 5 years ago. And it's very much, I will just do whatever just to make sure I don't have to leave my daughter. So over those 5 years, I have ventured into a lot of different industries. I've worked as a bar manager, I've worked as a carer, I have worked in a call center, I have been a makeup artist, I've trained as a hypnotherapist, I started training as a neuro-linguistic programming, oh, that's not good lighting, is it? Practitioner, so NLP. I was just trying to find my way. I was trying to find my thing, where I could offer a service. And during that time, I have read a lot of books. I've done a lot of personal development. And more recently, I have really been deepening my spiritual connection. So I have always been somebody that's incredibly intuitive. you know, whether or not you believe in clairvoyancy or, you know, mediumship, whatever. I've always been told that I have that gift, and it was something I never wanted to explore. But I've always been a very holistic spiritual person, and I've definitely focused my energy over the last few months on figuring out how to love myself more and how to really understand myself. And the reason why I bring this in is because, as Tony Robbins says, business is a spiritual game, and you really need to make that connection and that association between business and your holistic self, your spiritual self. As I learned even more so when I started really unpicking, sorry about this lighting, I started really unpicking what the issue was for me, the block was for me around money. So anyway, I probably digress somewhat, but just to kind of give you like a bit of an overview of, you know, why I don't believe that there is necessarily this quick fix that people are always kind of after, consciously or unconsciously, of, oh, I have this problem where I keep spending money and actually I want to fix it and I want to fix it now. I just want you to know that this has been a real journey for me. It might be quicker for some, it might be slower for some, but that's where I'm at, and that is my background. So anyway, when I discovered network marketing, for example, at the beginning when I discovered it, I remember feeling so excited by the concept of being able to work for myself. And I believe that actually a lot of the reasons why people probably have a negative perception of it is because when it became kind of mainstream in social media, everybody got it, kind of had that same excitement about it, could see what it could potentially offer them, but didn't have that money mentality that they needed to be able to communicate it effectively to people. So people would say things like, ditch your 9 to 5, or people would be made to feel stupid for wanting to work a 9 to 5. Right. And I know that I have definitely been so driven by my ego and so driven by my desire to want more, that when that first came into my life, I definitely would have made people feel insignificant, and I definitely would have made people feel like they weren't, I don't know what the word is, but I definitely would have made people feel like they were lesser because they worked a 9 to 5, and it absolutely was not intentional. It was something that I was really excited about at the time, but I know it affected my relationship. I know that Dave definitely felt like that, you know, when the reality was, it was his wages that was allowing me to be able to pursue all these different ideas and avenues and work on myself and things like that, right? So I've got like humility around that, and you know, if I ever did offend anybody, I'm absolutely totally like wholeheartedly sorry for that. It was a process that I was needing to go through, but I do feel like that's probably one of the reasons why people have like a little bit of a feeling around that. And it was, you know, that was never an intention of the companies themselves. It was just that people got excited and they didn't really understand how to communicate it, I guess, was the thing. So that's what you used to find a lot in network marketing. You don't find it now because, you know, it's not something, companies are product led, and they don't really talk about, you know, they won't make income claims and stuff like that because it's just not sexy. And it's also not allowed. Like, it's not allowed. People aren't actually allowed to do that. And they're all just kind of new like regulations and things like that that have come into place to help make people be more transparent about what it is that they are doing, right? Which is fantastic, because it's a great thing for the industry to have those regulations to stop people from getting excited and then making kind of false claims and stuff like that. So anyway, again, I digress, but I'm just taking you through this little journey with me. So I have two things I want to talk about. One is I saw this post that I shared yesterday that I've literally screenshot, and I'm going to stick it on my vision board because it just literally makes so much sense. And the second part of it is this breakthrough that I had with my money mindset. Now, you can read every book out there around money mindset. You can study people that are successful, but unless you unpick what your emotional attachment is to money, you are never going to have the level of success that you deserve, I believe. 1 second. Sometimes my dogs get really excitable, so I knew I wasn't going to be able to continue that without pausing that then. So yes, so yeah, I believe that unless you really get to the root cause of any problem, you're never going to be able to entirely move forward. And that was something that really resonated with me recently when I was doing one of the modules in my 7 Year Soul Work. So through a series of questions that I was asked for the homework to this course, it gradually started to shed light on areas when I was younger and what my original emotional attachment to money was, and what my block was that was actually stopping me from being able to create the kind of abundance that I was looking for in my life. Now, abundance and wealth are two separate things. However, they do intertwine. And it's really kind of like understanding that money is not inherently good or bad. It's what a person does with it that makes it so. But also, I feel like there's another level to that. And it's not so much just it's what a person does with it that makes it good or bad. I think essentially money is just an energy that's allowing you to be resourceful. But without the knowledge behind you of how to use that energy as a resource, then you're going to keep going around in the same circle. And I hope that the more I talk, the more this will kind of resonate and make sense to a few people. And if it doesn't, I apologize. I'm doing the best I can with the information that I've got because it's something that's like super new to me as well. So anyway, when I was unpicking what my issue was, what I realized is that every time money came into my life, as I say, the more money I had, the more money I spent, right? So it was almost like every time money was coming in, I was going, get away from me, get away from me. I never saw it as, oh, I've got extra money this month, so I'm going to put that into savings. Or I've got extra money this month, I'm going to put that into an investment portfolio. I just saw it as, great, I can buy something for someone, or I can buy another book, or I can get another course, or I can buy a takeaway, or I can buy a bottle of wine. That's all I ever saw money as. And I thought that was just like a pattern that I was repeating, like it was just a habit. Oh, every time I have more money, I throw it away. But actually it ran a lot deeper than that. And ultimately, it was that I didn't feel worthy of having that money. But the reason why I didn't feel worthy of having that money, and my reason is going to be totally different to a lot of other people's, is because when I think back to the first time I ever attached an emotion to money, it wasn't we didn't have money for nice things. It wasn't that I couldn't have kickers when everyone else had kickers in school. If you're my age, you remember that. Or that I couldn't have the real Adidas bottoms and things like that. It wasn't that I couldn't have these brands. It was actually that the first time I attached any emotion to money was when my mum and dad were going for a court case for custody over me. And I was probably my daughter's age at the time. And I remember a conversation where my mum was getting really upset about how he hadn't turned up again. And I wasn't in contact with my dad for a long time. I am in contact with him now. So, I'm not saying this to upset anybody. All is forgiven along the way. But I remember that feeling of feeling like a burden, which I felt like anyway through a lot of the other conversations that we had. but also my mum didn't have the money to pay for to take this to court for custody over me. So it was my nan and granddad that were paying for it. And I can remember her saying that he just, and again, apologise, like I'm not trying to rake up any old emotions if my mum or my dad watches this, or both of you. You know, it was said in a time when she was very upset and angry, like he just wants to waste nan and granddad's money. And as a child, you really polarize that, and you really consume it as like a fact. Like if I look at my daughter, for example, I was saying that I gave her one of these squidgy cups the other day, and I was like really excited because I was like, oh, we've got matching cups, she'll love this is squidgy, oh, they're amazing. And as I gave her the water, Dave said, be careful when you hold that cup that you don't spill that water everywhere. And so straight away she was like, I don't want it, I don't want it, because that feeling was, I'm going to do something that I'm going to get in trouble for. And so she literally just was like, I don't want it, like, no, and she cut herself off from it. So children at that age really do take on things like that, and they make it about them. It must be a problem with me. So imagine you're 5 years old and someone is saying, you know, basically the actions of what was happening was your dad doesn't want you, and we're just wasting money on you, was basically what I heard. You're a waste of money, right? I feel like if you've stuck with me this far, there's going to be a few people that's probably going to felt like a bit of a punch in the gut, because I think that probably a lot of us have been through something similar, or maybe we have children now and they're going through a similar thing, right? But that's what I obviously heard. You're a waste of money and you're a burden, right? And that feeling, that emotion has carried me through my entire life. So I was so desperate to make money because I wanted to prove that I could look after my family. I wanted to prove that I wasn't a burden. I wanted to prove that I was worth it. But at the same time, I weren't worth money. So I spent. So now that I'd managed to kind of isolate that emotion that I had attached to money and realize it was absolute bullshit, I was able to rewrite my money story. I was able to think about, well, you know, especially in the business that I do, in the line of work that I'm in, every pound that I am paid is a representation of somebody that I've helped. So of course I'm worthy of that. That's the law of compensation, that what you give out to the world, you get back. So if I give out to somebody my time, and I give out to somebody my recommendation, and I give out to somebody my love and my care and my compassion, and I am rewarded for that energetically and physically with money, that represents a person that I've helped. That doesn't represent a person that I'm a burden to, right? That one small shift and that feeling and understanding of being worthy of money also then triggered something else in my head. So then all of a sudden I was like, okay, so if money wants to be in my life and I'm worthy of having that money, and money is an energy, we're all energy, right? But money is an energy, and there's a way to respect money. You know, throwing money away carelessly isn't respectful to money. But money is a resource. It's coming in. It's not saying to you, I'm gonna fix your problems, which is another thing as well. I think people also look at money as a way to fix their problems. But again, there is more to you than that material gain. So it's not money's purpose to fix your problem. Money isn't there to fix your problem. Money is an energy. It's a resource that's being handed to you for you to say, right, I'm going to take this resource and I'm going to invest it in myself to create more abundance in myself, so I can give out more abundance, which means more abundance flows freely towards you, right? So it started my brain ticking, and I'm like, okay, so if I am meant to have money, because that's a direct representation of the people that I've helped, then why am I throwing money away on things that I don't need? Why am I throwing, it's great to invest in books and in courses and, in good foods that nourish me and, and ideas that are going to help people. But why am I taking any of my money and throwing it away on things? Whether it is a gift for somebody that they don't actually need, but I just wanted to get rid of that money, or maybe it's a takeaway, or maybe it's a meal out, or maybe it's a bottle of wine, right? Why am I doing that? Why am I not taking that extra money and not saving it for a rainy day? Because money doesn't just want to be held onto. It's an energy. It needs to keep going. It needs to keep traveling freely. So what if I take that extra money and I invest it? And I invest it into something that's going to turn that money into, it's going to allow it to keep the energy going and get bigger and bigger and bigger, hopefully, and bigger. So essentially what you end up doing is not living off of your wages, you end up living off of profit. Now, when I made that realization, when I made that connection, I was like, that is literally what my business is now anyway. Like, having a network marketing business it's not a wage, it's a profit. You are making profit off the transaction of a product sale. You're not getting paid money for the time and energy that you're not exchanging your time and energy for money, right? You're exchanging a product at a retail price when you get it for the wholesale price. So you're making a profit in between those two prices, right? I hope that you're with me so far. So if that is literally what my business is, and I am basically generating profits, why am I not using the money that I make from my job, my wages, also into something that can generate a profit? Because imagine that compounds over time, and then you're able to live off of the profits rather than the money that you've got coming in from your job. So another way of also looking at your wages, and this was something that I actually learned from Lisa Nichols, and I can't remember if it was in a interview that I watched of hers or whether it was through her book Abundance Now, because I started reading it and then I stopped because I was going to come back to it at a later date. But whatever it was, she had said about looking at your job as an investor into your future. Now, Jim Rohn also said something like this, where he said, I'm probably going to bastardize this, but use your job to build your future and your, oh my God, I'm totally going to bastardize this, but it's something like use your job to pay your bills and your like side hustle to build your future, or your I'm going to look it up actually while I'm talking because I can't remember what it actually was. But Jim Rohn, use your job. Okay. It was, I'm working full-time on my job. This is so different to what I was saying. I'm working full-time on my job and part-time on my fortune, right? So working full-time on your job and part-time on your fortune. Now, whether that is through an additional side hustle that you can use as an investor, or whether you're actually saying, well, I'm working full-time on my job, but part-time what I'm actually doing is taking the additional money that I don't actually need to spend from my job and I'm investing that to build my fortune. Whatever way you want to look at that, now it makes sense to me. So now when I go to like my part-time job, I'm so excited to be there. I'm excited to do overtime because I'm like, oh wow, if I take like the money out of this to pay for my bills, then the remainder of that money I can invest into my fortune. And I would never have learned that at school. I would never, and I have not learned that over the last 5 years. I knew that it was a good idea, and I'd read in a lot of books, you know, take 20% of your income and, you know, invest it into something. But for some reason, I just, well, I know the reason now. The reason was that because I hadn't dealt with that root cause, I couldn't see how I was going to do it. But as soon as I dealt with that root cause, as soon as I realized, oh, that was the bullshit reason why I didn't feel like I was worthy of having money, because of what I heard when I was, you know, 5 or however old I was, 4, 5, 6. That's actually created this belief that I've had my entire life. So it didn't matter how many books I read, didn't matter how many courses that I'd been on, didn't matter how many things that I had done or how many investors that I'd spoken to. I was never able to consistently take that 20% and invest it because I didn't know why really I was doing it. I didn't get it. I didn't understand that business is a spiritual game. It's almost like a holistic game. It has to be entirely resonant with you as a person, and you have to clear your shit out. You have to clear your baggage out to actually make that breakthrough. So just finally, because I've been talking for a really long time, and I hope that this like waffle has inspired somebody at least, but I just wanted to read out this post that I shared on my Instagram, and you may have seen it, but this is what I'm printing off and putting on my vision board because it's super important. Do not quit your job until your side income is double your monthly expenses. This is really important because what we used to see is people would be like, oh, I'm making twice as much money. And I'm speaking now specifically to people in network marketing. People would make twice as much money as what they was on their full-time paid job in a month. And they'd go, oh, now I'm going to quit. I'm making enough money. I can quit. You know, I don't want a plan B. This is it. And what happens in network marketing is you have peaks and troughs. It's the same with like any self-employed business, right? You're going to have peaks and troughs. So the issue is when you get to a stage where you're kind of making twice the amount of your monthly income, you might do that for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Maybe you do it for a year. But if you lose sight of your customer base, or if you're like any of your team members decide that they don't want to continue building a network marketing business anymore, then you will start to decline in how many product sales you've got going through your business. And if you've got less product sales going through your business, then you've got less income coming into your business. It's the same with anything, right? So I think it used to be something where people would see that and be like, oh my God, this works. And it does work. However, you need to have certain things in place before you can say, okay, I'm going to work this full time. And that's what this goes on to next. So your side income is double your monthly expenses. So not your monthly wages, your monthly expenses. And remember that you also need to have the money mindset to understand that just because you're getting paid extra money doesn't mean to say you spend that extra money. Invest it. Create more profits, allow the energy of money to do what she wants to do and create more and more abundance, right? You are skilled enough to make your side hustle a main business. It's another thing where people probably fall a little bit short because it's really tough working for yourself, whether you are a creator of your brand or whether you are a brand ambassador for somebody. You have to have the skills. You have to be able to be resilient. At the very least, you have to be able to want to continue to learn, to continue to grow, to never be in a position where you say, oh yeah, I know that, or I know it already. I don't need to listen to that anymore. I don't need to listen to that training. I don't need to do that thing. I already know it. Because as soon as you do that, your teachability index goes down. And then when you become unteachable, you've capped yourself. You're never gonna increase your income. You're never gonna grow any further because you think you know it all. And as soon as you believe that you know it all, that's when everything stops. So you have to be skilled enough to be able to be like, right, okay, I have nothing else now available to me. I've got my blinkers on. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm committed to doing. And I'm committed to continually develop myself every single day, year on year and year and year and year. Your emergency fund covers 6 months worth of expenses. If there's something that 2020 has taught us, it's that we probably all didn't have enough of an emergency fund, if any, right? So I think that's really smart. You know, if you are going to do a side hustle, or you do want to create more in your life, then not only do you want to make sure that you're making double the amount of expenses every month, but you want to make sure that you have at least 6 months of that put to one side, just in case you do have a bad month, or just in case we do have a bad year. Anything is possible. So you have to be prepared. You are actually determined and focused enough to succeed. Exactly what I was saying, having those blinkers on. It's so easy to be like, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. I can run my own business. I can create that money. A lot of people probably experience success really, really fast without really knowing what it is that they're doing. And then they plateau, or their business starts to decline, because then all of a sudden they realize, oh my gosh, I am kind of like money mindset. I'm making this much money. It's more money than what I've ever had before. I've not necessarily grown to that level. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. The wheels start coming off, or maybe you take a break. Maybe you go, oh, this is doing really well, so I'm going to go on holiday for a month, and I'm going to forget about, you know, putting any time and effort into my business. You need to be prepared to be seriously focused on what it is that you're doing and show up every single day. Yes, have holidays. Yes, have time off, but make sure that you have that that plan. You can physically see, well, if I actually did take a month off here, this person, this person, this person, and this person is consistently going to be able to run my business for me. I was going to consistently be able to sell product for me, and I'm not going to experience a dip. And if I do, I have an emergency fund that's there waiting for me, and I have an investment portfolio. I'm good, you know. And then you need to be ready to work 12 hours plus a day. I mean, realistically, right now, where I am at my business, I don't have the need to work that many hours a day. It's very much a part-time job and a side hustle. Like, that is how I'm comfortable at the moment, while I'm figuring myself out. And especially now, when I've kind of like had this revelation of, that's what it is. That's how money wants to be respected. So, but certainly when I am in a position where I'm like, okay, I've got my, you know, 6 months of emergency fund, you know, I've got a investment portfolio that's ticking over nicely, you know, my network marketing business is ticking over nicely. Maybe by then I've got like a, you know, a couple of other things on the go as well. That's when I need to be like, right, I have to be committed at this time to be focusing 12 hours plus a day and getting this right. So I hope that's gone way to helping somebody today. I'm going to post my love letter to money on my blog post. It was just such a cute idea, and I want to share that with people, because I do think that in general, people do think that having money is a bad thing. And it's not because money is bad. It's because there is something that you have been conditioned to believe all your life, or there was something that was said or done when you was a child, and you have literally created that belief and held on to it. And you need to find that, and you need to let it go, because having money and abundance and wealth is our birthright. We are loving beings. We are abundant beings. You know, we're not meant to be distracted by material things. We are here to create. We are here to love. We are here to give. And we're here to live. You know, we're not here to survive and just run paycheck to paycheck and, you know, go to work to pay bills and until we die. That was not what our souls were meant for. And so we need to respect that. And I just really hope that this has gone some way to like making someone excited today, or just like made like even a small step in the right direction for you. You know, I'm a work in progress. You know, it's very early days now. I've started investing. I've got no idea what I'm doing. You know, I will take people on my journey with me, but just being able to let go of that fear of money has made such a huge difference in my life already. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will see you all soon.